Hello and welcome to P-Dub's Random World. This is Patrick, and today we're going to look at a lot of major changes that have gone on in my system and where it starts at today. So, with that in head, stick around. We're going to announce our winners, we're going to announce some big names, and welcome to the PT Tracker land. Alright?
Steady yourself even though you know that you're falling. Maybe you're falling, but you're still alive.
Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's go with this here. So, today, the first thing we're going to talk about here is I am changing the name of the channel. It is no longer P-Dub's Random World because there's a lot of different things I do. I write, I do motivational stuff, and I want to make sure that my channel is structured towards what you want to see. And obviously you're here because you're watching the videos about the crypto and about my experience with Profit Trailer and some of the add-ons in that world. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to brand it P-Dub's Crypto World, so it'll be easier to find there. Alright, now secondly, we're going to just take a look at here. Now obviously if you like the content, I recommend, you know, subscribe, like, leave some comments. Tell me about what you want to see discussed here. I'm going to start getting into some of the current news going on in the crypto world. Not this week, but going on probably midweek or next weekend. And kind of maybe do a little more updating on what's going on in the Profit Trailer bot. But if you definitely like what we've got going on here, I do have links. I recommend follow the links down below if you're interested in anything that we're dealing with here, the Profit Trailer or the Profit Trailer Tracker, which is a new addition to me, which I'm loving already. So also, if you'd like to help contribute to the channel and help me actually be able to make these videos on a regular basis, I've got donation amounts down there for if you want to send some Bitcoin or Ethereum, as well as sign up for Patreon. Let me know what you want to see. I want to give additional content for, you know, contributors, and definitely, you know, shout outs for those who are helping me to make this a possibility. I want to get on another exchange and, you know, go from there. So what we're going to look at here first is we are going to pick up the winner for our actual this week's giveaway. Yep. So right here we have, his name is Edgar Kalnins. I apologize if I butchered your name, but we send you a message there. Yep, there's the wife and family. We send you a message there about getting your $5 for the weekly. Alright, now we're going to get into the important stuff here. So the biggest addition, well, this is one of the biggest, is I have now added PT Tracker. So definitely great shout out to those guys over there. The development team made a pretty good product, and it seems like they've got a lot of stuff coming out in the second version here that, from what I understand, isn't coming out too long here. So I just started it, I got it, I literally just started it yesterday, and I already love it. So, it's easy to see why, because everything you need, everything to keep track of what you got going on is right here at your fingertips. So I can keep track of everything here. It's funny, you're looking at this and you're seeing the ETH profit over time. That's because that segues into the next point. And the next point is I'm no longer trading in Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin, as you've seen from some of my other videos, I have not done super well on, because of I started in one thing and I've been learning as I go, and when I started that and I ran with that, things changed. Things changed really quickly, and I bought when everything was starting to bottom out. So I did pay attention, and I've done some calculations to what it all entails. So I originally had a initial investment of 0.125 Bitcoin, which in total, along with my Profit Trailer, I spent about, well, I guess 0.155 in Bitcoin, including the 0.03 that I paid for my Profit Trailer. Now, I quit keeping track of that on my other spreadsheet for the simple fact that I was doing a disservice, because I'd have to constantly restart it and constantly restart it. And that's why we got the profit tracker now, is because there is no more restarting here. It's just going to be white knuckle grind it through. So what we're doing is I alleviated everything. I killed everything, and I lost quite a bit of money, quite a bit of my, well, alright, let me phrase that. It's not quite a bit of money, but when it's quite a bit of my budget. So I had 0.155 that I had originally purchased and cost me $2,000 and all that, because I bought higher than I wanted to, but that's when I got in. And 0.03 went to Profit Trailer. Well, that left me with 0.125, which was spread on my two accounts, which was the Liam bot and the P-Dubs bot. Well, I have since nuked those bots, because I sold a bunch of my stuff down, and I ended up with like I want to say somewhere in the realm of 0.88 Bitcoin after all is said and done. So I basically squandered from 0.125 down to 0.08. And that's mostly because 0.088. And that's mostly because when I got out of this time, I took the money and I ran. Now, I'd seen Gnome, Crypto Gnome. You guys, I'm sure, are familiar with him. If you're watching mine, I guarantee you've seen his. Now, he's recently started working in Ethereum, and I figured I would give that a try on the Liam bot. I did. I ran it for a couple of days, and he was right. It is way more stable than Bitcoin. I seen that I was able to do trading on a regular basis, but now it's not as many pairs to be able to trade in as Bitcoin, and that was the big problem for me. And that alludes to the next segue to the next part. I am no longer on Poloniex exchange, and the reason is it's small. It's just plain and simple. It is small. When I went to trade in the Ethereum pairs, I am trading on a basis of let's see, I'm trading to where there was like 10 pairs that I could possibly trade from. So I'd have to set my buy-in price higher. I wouldn't have as many buys and trades and sells, or whatever you want to consider it, throughout the day. And that was problematic because, you know, not a high capital, not a high percent gain. I'm looking for turning stuff rapidly. I'm one of those 20, 30, 40 a day if I can, and, you know, take my 1%. I actually use a buy percentage of, I think I'm at 0.85. It might be set at 0.75 now, but I have since went to Binance, and definitely recommend, if you are not on Binance and you are using Profit Trailer, use the link below. Buy yourself a Binance Profit Trailer account. Chances are you probably got one from the get-go, and you were, in that book, smarter than I was at first. So get yourself on Profit Trailer for the actual Binance account, and what that's going to do is, even in Ethereum, trade in Ethereum. It is just so much better, because, like, literally, look at this here. I am looking at, I have a pretty decent amount of settings here. I'm looking at, I had it set for, on Poloniex, I had it set for a minimum of 40, which I was thinking Bitcoin, but is actually 40 Ethereum. 40 Ethereum trade for the day is the minimum I had it set. And I only had like 10 or 11 pairs that I could trade in. Now I have it set on, I'm on Binance, and I have it set to a minimum buy volume of 400, and I have over 36 just still available to buy in. Now that's really that's a lot, and that means that I can constantly be churning and burning. So I started this about, I want to say, 5, 6 o'clock yesterday. So actually, let's see when my first trade went down yesterday. My first trade happened at saying here 8:15. So about 6 or 7 o'clock is when I finally got everything. Yep, I finally got everything transferred over that I wanted to. I I got the new bot set up. I got some settings in there that were going to work for what I wanted for Ethereum. And to be honest, you see this DCA? I had to lower my DCA just so I'd actually DCA with this Ethereum. I mean, honestly, look at this. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of my 7 are there. Now, I want to point this out. I may have just luckily been transferring over and luckily getting all these options of buying and selling right at the right time, because that seems like it's always my case, is I move here right when I need to, and then after that the bottom drops out. So yeah, look here, my buy trigger is 0.75. I got one that's close. I've got one that's already triggered and still going. Now look here, this is my sales log. I am looking at, from this point, I've had 17 trades since midnight, and here it is, 1:30. So I'm looking, you know, a little over half my day. I've had 30 trades. I mean, 30 trades since I did it yesterday, and I'm looking to do much more. Now, some of these, because I'm at a lower percent, you know, it happens. I've only had one item that has DCA'd and sold it at that DCA. So definitely Ethereum so much easier to work with, and having a good DCA settings on your bag, like right here, like mine was like it was like 1.1 some odd Ethereum. So you know, I'm at about 8 1/4. So yesterday I only made $1.38, but if you've seen my other ones, I made about $1.07 running in Bitcoin just because nothing would sell. So get yourself on Binance, use Ethereum, trade in the Ethereum. So make sure that you take your Bitcoin and get to a good Ethereum percent, and keep track of what that Ethereum price per Bitcoin is, because if you ever want to get back in Bitcoin, you always want to go in higher than what you start out. So in my case, it was like it was like 0.078058 was my Ethereum price to Bitcoin. So keeping track of that means that I am going to end up, when I trade back into Bitcoin, if that's what I decide to. Right now I'm all or nothing in Ethereum and on here, and I'm not running 2 bots right now. I'm only running the 1. I'm gonna probably pump some more money in there a little later on in the month or next month, but for right now, I don't want to bleed the money. And Ethereum is a very strong candidate to make a breakout. We've seen it hit over $1,000 a coin, and right now I've been getting it sub $700 a coin. So I got a little over a coin on there, and that's just where I'm going with this. You know, I'm seeing consistent movement, and you know, I'm not dogging out on anything. I had to lower my DCA down to, so it would DCA at a buy trigger of 1.25%, I believe. Let me take a look here, because yeah, 1.25%. I've only got it running on 3 just because I want to run a lot of pairs right now. So I've got it set to where I can actually run 15 pairs. Now yesterday it didn't have a problem buying a pair, getting a pair, and you've got so many different options that you can use, and just nothing's in there right now for me to buy, but I've got 38 options additionally instead of the 4 or 5 additional that I had on Poloniex. So that's going to be really important to make sure that I've got all these opportunities. And this buy volume on there is just astronomical. So in comparison, when everyone's telling you and you're looking at their videos and they're talking about high buy volumes, they're probably talking about Binance. I don't know how Bittrex is. I haven't been on their exchange and can't say that I'm really too interested, because Poloniex was good for maintaining and making sure I had consistent. I know Binance sometimes gets a little bit of slack for downage, or they just had the issue where they thought they got hacked, and it had to do with people's actual bot APIs getting hijacked or something along that line. Now, I haven't heard anything on the specifics or any bots, but I haven't heard anybody in the profit trailer realm complaining about this happening to them. So more than likely it was one of those third world country bot programs that got hijacked and dumped it. Luckily, when I was in it at the time, I'd seen what was happening, and I was on the Ethereum right then, and it bought the Viacoin once, sold it off at a good percentage. Bought it twice, sold it off at a good percentage. Bought it the third time, and meanwhile, I get my messages on my phone here for my Telegram, and I'm like, wow, that's just crazy. I need to see what's going on. And then I looked at the super pump on this thing going on. I'm like, okay, it's clearly to see that this isn't actual. So I put that coin on the ban list. I just disabled, you know, in my command prompts that I wasn't going to trade in it, and I still had it, so I panic sold it off at a profit, and it wasn't going to be trading on it anymore. Soon after came the dump on it, and you know, everything was coming out. So luckily I made money. I made money on it, and I was smart enough to see that it was a problem and got out of it before the bottom dropped out. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at what we've got going on here. Now, the only thing I do not like about Binance is this one thing here. See this dust? For all these trades that I have 23 items in my dust. Now, pause yourself, because when we look at this, you might drop a nugget. Look at this. IOS, 1638%. Every single thing in my dust is positive, upwards to over 16%. Ah! That is so frustrating, because I can't trade any of this whatsoever at all, because it's such small pricing. I have one here that I thought that I could trade, and where's it at? And it's Knowles here, and it's Knowleseth. Yeah, Knowles, whatever it is. I haven't even looked into it, but this was one of my first buys, and this was before I realized about the buy limits. Now, Poloniex, you have a lower buy price that you can buy smaller amounts, and it's not as expensive. Now, on Binance, you have a certain amount that you have to buy, and it's a little more expensive than trading on Poloniex. But I did not, you know, I bought in, and it was just not enough to actually be able to do good business with, I guess. So when I looked at this last, it was like 2%. Now it's up to 4.8. It's just painful to see this in the dust log and not. So in summation, looking, you know, my first day, well, my first small portion of the day, I made $1.38, which killed what I was making on the other stuff, because most of the time nothing was selling anyway. Secondly, we're looking at what I'm at today, and I'm a little over half of the day, but I'm at a little over 0.5% today too, and I'm trading on a small amount of my Ethereum. So you can see that I'm playing it safe by keeping, you know, I'm at 0.88, and I've got, you know, 8 pairs going on, plus a bunch of stuff down in my dust. So I'm keeping it a little more conservative. I could bump it up a little more, but then I'm going to run into issues if I start DCAing a lot of stuff, especially since I've got a very aggressive first DCA, because I'm not DCAing. It's not doing a dollar cost average on these. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So stay with me, keep an eye on this. If you don't know, get yourself on Binance. Get yourself the profit trailer license on there. I'm going through retool and everything, making it a little more efficient for me and getting information to you. I'll also leave nice little information down here to get in touch with, you know, if you've got any questions in profit trailer or the tracker, you know, feel free to answer. Definitely like, subscribe, leave a comment below. Tell me what you want to see, what you want me to go over, and how I can make this better, because I'm trying to get all of my fellow crypto people out there to get on board. We can streamline some of this, because eventually those of us that are using profit trailer are going to be making more trades, better sells, and getting all through this. And you know, if we can get to that point to where we're getting, you know, our 1% daily on a regular basis, that'll be great. And I think if I can do that in Ethereum's only going to continue to grow. And if Bitcoin does hit that $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, I don't know that I'm going to be losing a lot of sleep, missing that boat when Ethereum hits 1,000, 2,000, 4,000, because it's the next closest contender to what you got going on to Bitcoin. I mean, in all honesty, Ethereum is easier to spend around than Bitcoin is in certain situations because it's more affordable. You feel like you're getting more for your money with it. The technology is still sound. And think about how many coins that are actually created off of the Ethereum blockchain. So, you know, take that into consideration. 20 transactions today. I like that. Take that into consideration. Like, subscribe. Let's grow our community, and hit me up in the comments below if you want to know something specific, or you're curious about getting onto the Binance, or you're curious about Profit Trailer or the PT Tracker. I have referral links down below. Use them if you have the opportunity. I definitely appreciate it. It doesn't cost you anymore, but does help me to fund my channel, as well as the if you'd like to make a donation down there or use the Patreon account. So definitely appreciate it, and we will see you next time here at P-Dub's Crypto World. Thanks.